Welcome to EPG Pathshala. Hello students, I am Tanushree Shahadas Gupta, Professor and Associate Dean in S.N. Bose National Center for Basic Sciences in Kolkata. I belong to the Department of Condensed Matter Physics and Material Science. I am also the coordinator of the Thematic Unit of Excellence on Computational Material Science set up within S.N. Bose Center. In the previous lecture, we talked about the single electron approximation to the many electron problem and discussed the Hartree theory in this context. In the present lecture, we'll discuss another single electron theory, namely the Hartree-Fock theory. As we have seen, a great deal of simplification is obtained by single electron approximation of the many electron problem, which otherwise would have been an impossible task to solve. The Hartree theory, in this respect, is the first step forward, which expresses the wave function of the system as product of single electron wave functions. The theory, however, lacks one important concept. The wave function from this theory does not satisfy the Pauli exclusion principle. In 1930, Slater and Fock independently pointed out that Hartree theory does not obey the principle of antisymmetry of the wave function, which should be the case as electrons are fermions. It was then shown that a Slater determinant, a determinant of one electron orbitals first used by Heisenberg and Dirac in 1926, trivially satisfies the antisymmetric property of the exact solution, and hence is the suitable answers for applying the variational principle. The original Hartree method can then be viewed as an approximation to the Hartree-Fock method by neglecting the exchange part. Fock's original method relied heavily on the group theory and was too abstract for contemporary physicists to understand and implement. In 1935, Hartree reformulated the method more suitably for the purpose of calculation. The primary aspects of the Hartree-Fock theory are the following. A. As in all electronic structure methods, the Born-Oppenheimer approximation is inherently assumed. The full wave function is actually a function of the coordinates of each of the nuclei in addition to that of the electrons as a result. B. Each energy eigenfunction is assumed to be describable by a single Slater determinant, an anti-symmetrized product of the one electron wave functions, that's the orbitals. And C, the mean field approximation is implied, like in Hartree method. Effects arising from the deviations from this approximation, known as electron correlation, are completely neglected for the electrons of opposite spin, but as opposed to the Hartree theory, are taken into account in the Hartree-Fock theory for electrons of parallel spin. Remember, electron correlation should not be confused with electron exchange, which is fully accounted for in the Hartree-Fock theory. Typically, as we also follow in our lecture, relativistic effects are completely neglected in the original formulation of the Hartree-Fock theory. The momentum operator is assumed to be completely non-relativistic. A list of modern software packages are known to handle the Hartree-Fock calculation, particularly for molecules and solids like in code CP2K, CASTIP, Gaussian, Fluor, GAMES, and etc. With this brief introduction, we now move to the details of the Hartree-Fock method, which will be covered in this lecture as well as in the next lecture. The objectives of today's lecture are the following. In the previous lecture, we talked about the Hartree theory. In the present lecture, we will discuss another single electron theory, namely Hartree-Fock theory. This relies on the determinantal form of the wave function. We will discuss the properties of the determinantal wave function and the matrix elements of the single and two particle operators in the determinantal basis. Following this, we will discuss the Hartree-Fock method. We will discuss its formulation and in particular the Coulomb and exchange potentials. After that, we will talk about the self-consistency and the expression for total energy within the Hartree-Fock scheme. As discussed in previous lecture, the Hamiltonian H0 contains sum of single particle operators and a part of two particle operator written in a single particle form. Following this, in the Hartree theory, the wave function is written in a product form. However, we need to remember electrons are all equivalent. Therefore, the product of this single electron wave function, as shown here, is as good as the operator P operated on this product wave function. P is the permutation operator which changes or exchanges the coordinate of two single electron wave function. As you can see, there are n factorial number of such permutation possible for an n electron system. Thus, we have the wave function for the n electron system given by summation over capital P, AP, then the P operated on this single electron product wave function. We need to remember electrons are fermions. Therefore, Pij, which depends on the coordinate of the two electronic wave function I and j operated on this phi a, gives rise to a negative sign in front of the phi a. Pij is a binary permutation operator. So, since these electrons are fermions satisfying the antisymmetric property, the coefficients AP should be given as -1 to the power p, where p is the number of binary permutations in the operator capital P. Therefore, the n electron wave function is given by summation over p. Now substituting the value of AP here, -1 to the power p times the product wave function. Take the specific example of n electron 3, n equal to 3, which means a 3 electron system. One can then have in the permutation operator capital P the term small p equal to 0, which means there is no permutation at all. In this case, it is same as the original product wave function. Then for p equal to 1, there is only one permutation, that is exchange of one set of coordinate. This can be done in three possible ways and should produce a negative sign in front of the wave function due to the antisymmetric property. One can then have p equal to 2, which involves two exchanges that can be done in two possible ways. Note, in this case, no sign chain happens because it involves two exchanges. This can be written in a more compact form using the determinantal form as is shown here. Expanding this determinant in a longhand, one can easily convince himself or herself that it is same as what I have described in the previous slide. For a general n-electron system, one can write this determinant in a much more general form where the phi now depends on the coordinate of n electrons from x1 until xn, and the label A1 now goes until AN. The coordinates now goes from x1 until xn. There is a correspondence between the rules of a determinant and Pauli's rule in the following sense. The determinant is antisymmetric to the exchange of two rows. Each row determines a particle or an electron. The determinant is 0 if there are two identical columns. The columns represent different electronic states or the orbitals. The determinantal wave function should form an orthonormal set. This can be proved by considering a general symmetric operator f. Since it's a symmetric operator, it has the property capital P times f equal to f. Using this property, the matrix element can be written in the following way as is shown here. In the permutation operator capital P, there are actually small p number of binary permutations. Whatever this capital P be, we have the same value of this integrand, since by renaming the variables, we get the same result. This gives me the second line of this equation, which is the n factorial times this integral. To check the orthonormality of this phi, we set f equal to the identity operator. This gives from this above expression the product of phi equal to n factorial, therefore the normalization constant being given by 1 over square root of n factorial. It's trivial to prove that the product of phi a and phi b is equal to 0 if a is not equal to b. In order to get into numerical analysis of Hartree-Fock theory, we need to first determine the matrix elements of single particle and two particle operator. If you remember, this was also done for the Hartree theory, but now in the determinantal basis. This gives the single particle operator the following expression for the matrix element, which is shown in the first and second line of this equation. Now let us consider the labels AP and BP in this wave function phi a and phi b is at the same for all p values. The matrix element in this case is non-zero if p is equal to identity. So the summation over I phi a little hi phi a is equal to summation over I ai little hi ai, which is the same as we saw in case of the Hartree method. Then consider the case AP equal to BP for all p's except p equal to k. The matrix element is non-zero only if the binary operator p is equal to I. In this case, the matrix element is given by bk times little hk times ak. Now consider the case where AP is equal to BP for all p values except p equal to k. The matrix element in this case is 0 even if p is identity. Let us now consider the case of two particle operator and the matrix element of it as is shown here. the corresponding matrix element taking into account the determinantal form and expanding this phi b star is given by the following expression. Let us now consider the different cases as we did for the single particle operator. First, let's consider the case AP equal to BP for all p values. A comment here, a note of caution, you should not confuse this label used here, which is p, and with the label that is used here, which is also p. This p designates the number of binary operators in the permutation operator p, while this p basically labels the single electron states. So if we have AP equal to BP for all p values, and if this number of binary operator is not equal to 0 or 1, then this matrix element is equal to 0. If p is equal to 0, it is given by EI AJ, VIJ, EI AJ. If p is equal to 1, then we have a negative sign because it exchanges the coordinates of two electrons, and it is given by AJ AI, VIJ AI AJ. This gives the matrix element which is shown with this following expression. Continuing in the same way, if we have AP equal to BP for all p except p equal to k, then the matrix element is 0 unless we have I equal to k or j equal to k. Note there are two terms in each of this expression, one coming from this little p equal to 0, that means the number of binary operation being 0, and this one from p equal to 1, that means the number of binary operation being 1. The matrix element therefore is given by the following expression. The last case is that AP equal to BP for all p except p equal to k and l. The matrix element is 0 unless I equal to k, j equal to l, or we can also have I equal to l and j equal to k, the corresponding matrix elements being given by this expression. Then the summation over ij of this matrix element is then given by this following expression. Let us now start with the history of the Hartree-Fock method, which was mentioned briefly in the introduction. The Hartree-Fock method was introduced way back at the end of 1920s, soon after the discovery of the Schrödinger equation in 1926. Hartree first proposed the method of solution of the many electron problem, which became known as Hartree method, as was discussed in the earlier lecture. In 1930, Slater and Fock pointed out that Hartree method did not respect the principle of antisymmetry of the wave function. It was shown to be fundamentally incomplete due to neglect of quantum statistics followed by the electrons. In 1935, Hartree reformulated the method more suitably for the purpose of calculation, and thus the method became known as Hartree-Fock method. As we have also discussed, Douglas Hartree was born in the year 1897 and he died in the year 1958, and his life was associated with Cambridge. On the other hand, Vladimir Fock was born in the year 1898, not very different from that of the Hartree. He lived longer. He died in the year 1974 in the month of December. His life was associated with St. Petersburg. The essence of Hartree-Fock theory can be summarized as following. Hartree-Fock method is an approximate method for the determination of the wave function and the energy of an n-electron system in a stationary state. N-electron wave function of the system is approximated by a single Slater determinant. Using the variational method, a set of n coupled equations are derived for each single particle states. A solution of these equations give Hartree-Fock wave function and the energy. As mentioned already, the n-electron wave function in Hartree-Fock is represented in terms of a single determinantal state as is shown by the following expression. We vary the single particle states, which is given by this little chi, and minimize the energy, which is shown here, with the constraint that the single electron states are and form an orthonormal basis set, in the sense that the product of Ai and Aj is equal to 0 if I is not equal to j, and is equal to 1 if I is equal to j. By orthogonality, the product of chi's, the capital Chi, which is the wave function for the n-electron system, is 1. This constraint needs to be handled by introducing the Lagrange multiplier lambda, as we have already discussed in case of the Hartree method. We thus have the energy, which is given by this matrix element of this Hamiltonian. In the bracket notation, it can be written in the following way. We have this hash symbol here, which means I is not equal to j. In the following, we show the same expression, but now written in a wave function form. The variation, taking into account the orthogonality, is then given by this following expression. This gives the following expression, which is shown here, by expanding on the expression for the energy. Since the variation is arbitrary, we should have the delta chi equal to 0 in the previous slide. We thus have this following equation. We need to remember that in this summation over j, we still carry this hash symbol, which means it includes every states except I. There are several things to note here. Unlike the case of Hartree, this is not an usual eigenvalue equation. One therefore needs to diagonalize the problem through unitary transformation, as is shown here, where U is the unitary matrix. So U dagger lambda U should diagonalize the matrix lambda and give me the values epsilon m at the diagonal position of the matrix, the other matrix elements being 0. This also transforms the single electron wave function basis from chi to chi bar. Thus, the Hartree-Fock equation in the transformed basis is given by this following expression. Taking the expression which was given in the previous slide and multiplying both sides by ukm and summing over k, one gets the following expression. The right hand side is nothing, if you remember the expression for doing this diagonalization, but the epsilon m chi am. Comparing then this with the single electron Schrodinger equation given by h plus f times chi equal to epsilon chi, we have the form of f, which is given by f times chi equal to now having two parts, fc plus fx times chi. The fc, which is given by the first two terms in this equation, is the Coulomb part, which we have already discussed in the case of Hartree method. This additional part, which is shown here with fx, is the exchange part, and that is the new term, which is the contribution of Hartree-Fock theory. Fx, which is the new term in this Hartree-Fock theory, is an integral operator, as is shown here, and its operation on chi is therefore given by this following expression. The P here is the operator which basically changes the coordinates of the electrons over the states. Therefore, taking together this form of Fx with that of Fc, the Coulomb part, and this is the exchange part, one can write the F in a compact way in this following expression. Like in Hartree theory, the Hartree-Fock equation should be solved by employing the self-consistency. As we discussed in case of the Hartree theory, in the self-consistent cycle, one starts with assuming some value of phi, which we call as phi old. From there, one can calculate the value of Fc and Fx with the knowledge of phi and using the expressions those were shown in the previous slide. From there, by solving the single electron Schrodinger equation, that is little h plus f times psi equal to epsilon psi, one gets the information of psi. Adding then the spin part, one generates phi nu. That's a new set of phi we are getting. One then replaces this phi old by phi nu and continues with this cycle of generating f's and then psi's, and from there the phi's. And this goes on until we reach the convergence. As we have already said, what we mean by convergence is the difference between psi nu and psi old is less than some pre-assigned value. What will be this pre-assigned value depends on the user, depending on how much of accuracy in the calculation we want. The expression of the energy within the Hartree-Fock is then given by this following expression, where as we can see that in the first term we have added the f term along with the h, and therefore we need to subtract it from the whole expression. As we know, this makes our life simple because we know this matrix element of h plus f is nothing but epsilon I. The energy therefore is given by summation over I epsilon I, the contributions from the second and the third term, which are now written in the wave function form by expanding this ai and aj's, and some additional term which comes from the contribution of this last term. We need to remember that in this summation, in the third term, the summation over j's are those whose spins are parallel to I. As will be discussed in the next lecture, this becomes very, very important in taking into account some aspect of the electron-electron correlation. To get the total energy from this expression of the energy, one need to add the ion-ion repulsion. The ion-ion repulsion term needs to be included because within the Born-Oppenheimer approximation, we have neglected the motion of the nuclei. So the nuclei are static, but they still interact with each other through the electrostatic repulsion, and that term needs to be added. To summarize, the Hartree-Fock method was introduced to improve upon the Hartree method to take into account the antisymmetric nature of the electronic wave function. The Hartree-Fock method, as opposed to the Hartree method, incorporates the exchange part of the electron-electron interaction. Similar to the Hartree method, this leads to the self-consistent approach as the potential contains the information of the wave functions, while the wave functions themselves are the solution of the problem. Thank you for your attention.